Ayade receives a new Consul General of Equatorial Guinea, sues for better working relationship between the two nations. Member representing Akampa Biase Federal House of Representatives, Daniel Asukwo, declares intention for Cross River State governorship race. Correspondent on special assignments examined risk factors associated with indiscriminate waste disposal. Plus, federal government begins processes to domesticate outcome of global climate conference to ensure net zero carbon emission by 2060. Details shortly. Good evening and welcome to the news at 7. I am Erika Ivi. Now the news in details. The new Consul General of Equatorial Guinea to Nigeria, Ildefonso Ondo Nchama, has presented his letter of credence to Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade in Calabar with promise of a better working relationship of the two nations. Paul Abel reports.
Governor Ayade, who welcomed the new Consul General to Cross River State and Nigeria, is of the view that there will be a stronger unity, bigger commercial cooperation in air travel and maritime activities.
We believe that there are greater opportunities for us to work together and collaborate at G2G level. So whatever you find here in terms of raw material requirement from your country that you think you can benefit from here, we will not hesitate to support you to ensure that by the time your tenure here is over, they can see the difference.
The new Consul General, who spoke through an interpreter, promised to serve both nations with loyalty.
It is necessary to have a Consul General here in Calabar, Cross River State, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because of the good relationship, brotherly relationship existing between the two nations. I wish to get to the level that will enable me exercise with dignity and loyalty my duties.
The Consul General was accompanied on the visit by members of the consulate in Cross River State. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
And now to politics. The parable "Charity Begins at Home" came to the fore as the member representing Akampa Biase Federal House of Representatives, Daniel Asukwo, made a public declaration to contest for the office of Governor of Cross River State in the 2023 general elections. The declaration held at the PDP State Secretariat Annex drew support groups from the creeks of Bakassi to the hills of Obali. And now to the environment. Evacuation of refuse within cities in Nigeria is expected to be on daily basis to avoid littering the streets and constituting environmental hazards. As a government is making effort in waste management, it is believed that residents also have greater role in the task of preventing indiscriminate waste disposal, which is a common phenomenon. Odaletton in this report examined the risk factors arising from indiscriminate dumping of refuse and unsanitary environments.
The indiscriminate habit of refuse disposal has significantly affected environmental cleanliness and in turn breed risk factors affecting the health and well-being of people. In Calabar, the Cross River State capital, for instance, daily cleaning of streets and constant refuse disposal from strategic points are routine. Although in some areas, Household waste have found themselves back on the streets as some people dump refuse in any available spots, not minding the environmental risk factors.
It's not pleasant, so it has an adverse effect on health because it's not healthy. We get to inhale those things inside, which can bring bacteria to our body.
So government has actually done well, but I think they should be monitoring maybe agencies who can just hang around. When you get people pouring refuse on the ground, you hold them and find them.
What are the health implications of this?
Indiscriminate dumping of refuse can be associated with everything, including defacing the environment and actual disease in human beings. Apart from the cholera, we also have the risk of other diseases associated with poor sanitation.
Inasmuch as the state government is expected to fine-tune its environmental management approach, concerned respondents and health experts are of the view that a clean environment is determined by the attitude of people, hence the need for all to properly dispose their waste to sustain the non-clean and serene environment of Calabar. In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
Nigeria participated actively at the Global Climate Conference, COP26, in Glasgow, with President Muhammadu Buhari committing the country to a net zero carbon emissions by 2060. The federal government, in keeping with these commitments, has commenced processes to domesticate outcome of the conference in line with the nation's nationally determined contributions to climate change. NTA Fineface reports.
From October 31 to November 14, the world converged on Glasgow, Scotland, for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference, COP26, to ratchet up their ambitions to close the 1.5 degrees temperature gap. Outcomes of the conference responded to critical issues like climate financing, adaptation plans, loss and damage, as well as completion of the Paris Agreement rulebook. Nigeria is already developing a roadmap to domesticate outcomes of the conference.
The ministry will continue to implement existing programs and projects in addressing climate change and future programs. Projects such as the development of Nigeria's NDC sectorial plan, implementation of the revised NDC, issuance of a third Nigerian sovereign green bond, also development of the Nigerian National Readiness Plan for assessing the GCF fund, implementation of the National Action Plan on Gender and Climate Change.
Reflections at this meeting are also expected to provide plan of action for Nigeria's preparation for COP27 in Egypt in 2022. Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
At a time like this, it is commonplace associations or groups to come together and unwind in appreciation to God for His faithfulness as the year 2021 is gradually ending. The heads of federal establishment in Cross River State were not left out as they gathered to celebrate themselves, having overcome all the challenges to get to the end of the year. Odialeon was there.
It was all merrymaking as members of the Association of Heads of Federal Establishment Cross River State Friends and Associates twist their ribs in celebration. Give honor to whom honor is due, and in order not to wait to honor someone when the person is no more, was the reason the Association of Heads of Federal Establishment in the state chose to honor some of their deserving colleagues in a grand style. Some of the awardees were former chairman of the association, Ugochukwu Ezinobi, the Comptroller Immigration Cross River State, Christopher Bakay, and Dr. Rita Akpanegon, Director, Joint Preliminary Examination Board, among others.
The award has been given to me to tell me that I did well, and I'm still doing well, And that will now make me now to do more.
It's a privilege for me to be among those who have received this award today. I dedicate this award to God Almighty.
Chairman of the Association and General Manager, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Sam Nso, and the Public Relations Officer of the Association and General Manager, NTA Calabar, Sam Olalude, speak of the year 2021 and what is expected of 2022.
I must say that it gives me pleasure that we'll be able to hold the 2021 end of year party of the association. And I think for our projects that are ongoing, we're doing well. And for 2022, we expect to diversify in terms of our business.
I want to reach out to everybody who is the head of a federal establishment in Cross River State that they should identify with the association. In identifying with the association, there are a lot of benefits they are going to gain.
Highlights of the get-together was the launching of the association 2022 year calendar in Calabar. Ode Alenyo, NTA News.
You're watching news reaching you from the studio of NTA Calabar. You can also watch this newscast from my YouTube channel at YouTube/NTA Calabar. More news when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back to the rest of a bulletin. And to agriculture, the federal government has refuted a claim by some local and international organizations that Nigeria is at the verge of facing food crisis. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, in an exclusive interview with NTA, said Nigeria's agricultural outputs have been on the increase despite the social and economic challenges. Musa Aliyu reports.
There was an insinuation that Nigeria may face food crisis as a result of challenges associated with COVID-19, conflicts, and other social vices. One of the reports indicates that about 12 million people will face food crisis before the end of December this year. We are already in December. In fact, half of the month have gone. So I visited the Federal Ministry of Agriculture here in Abuja, where I met the Minister, Dr. Muhammad Mahmoud Abubakar.
No, we are not going to have a food crisis by the grace of God. We are doing everything possible. We have the grain still in our silos. We are restocking. We are intensifying farming, dry season, wet season. The ministry will start dry season sometime next month, and then the wet season. And all the other areas that, agencies, MDS that are working, we are working together to make sure we maintain level of production no matter what.
The minister said investigation carried out nationwide revealed that there was a good harvest of all food crops despite the climate challenges faced by farmers. And markets like these are the first point of call for farmers, where they supply their produce for an exchange for cash.
The government is passionate, Mr. President is passionate about agri, and he has already also released intervention to the ministry to restock this grain reserve.
It has been observed that agricultural sector remains key to the economic diversification efforts, as the sector has remained consistent driver of the non-oil sector. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Now to a business scene. Nigeria's economy has potentials to become Africa's trade hub, with the largest market in West Africa and a population of about 200 million people. Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Ambassador Mariam Katangum, at the 2021 Agribusiness Roundtable, however, says Nigeria is yet to harness these potentials for meaningful economic growth. and development due to poor infrastructure and the absence of an enabling environment. Wisdom Jacob reports.
Rising uncertainties in the oil sector have given rise to the urgent need to look inwards through the harnessing of human and natural resources to create employment and wealth, reduce poverty, and increase foreign exchange earnings. This Agribusiness Roundtable 2021 holding in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, is therefore the federal government's quest for Nigeria's industrialization process, especially in the production of quality manufactured goods of global standards. Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, represented by Suleiman Audu, says the ministry is implementing relevant programs to ensure that producers comply with global best practices for export.
This event is well timed and aligned with the focus of the present administration in diversifying the economy toward the non-oil sector by boosting production and export of non-oil products.
This conference should therefore provide a veritable platform for people of the region to properly articulate, dissect, and effectively calculate the utilization of this potential.
To diversify the economy, to boost the productive and revenue base of the country.
There's a lot of opportunities in agriculture, a lot of possibilities, a lot of things that we can do in agriculture. We can add value to what we produce. We can expand the value chain of cassava.
The roundtable, which featured unveiling of an agricultural training center, had as its theme unveiling new opportunities, new possibilities. In Uyo, Wisdom Jacob, NTA News.
And to the weather reports. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has cautioned Nigerians on possibility of poor visibility in the coming days. A statement from the agency said visibility in most cities in the northern part of the country will deteriorate, keeping visibility to 1,000 mega and below over places like Maiduguri, Yobe, Nguru, Potiskum, Dose, Gombe, Yola, Bauchi, Katsina, Kano, and Kaduna. NIMET therefore warns that flight operations may be disrupted and airline operators are advised to pick up their flight folders and adhere to regulations. Meanwhile, in its high temperature outlook, NIMET warns that a high temperature between 35 Celsius and 40 Celsius is expected over parts of Kebbi, Sokoto, Kaduna, and Zamfara in the northwest. The same temperature range includes parts of Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, Edo, Enugu, Ebonyi, Anambra, Imo, and Cross River. The agency therefore advised Nigerians to drink plenty of water to prevent dehydration, avoid leaving humans or animals in the car, especially young children. And our judicial report, the National Judicial Council has barred the 3 judges of Court of Concurrent Jurisdiction who granted conflicting ex parte orders in matters with same parties and subject matter from promotion to higher bench for a period ranging from 2 to 5 years whenever they are due. The affected judges are Justice Okumbule Basam of the High Court of Rivers State, Justice Nosirat Umar of the High Court of Kebbi State, and Justice Edemi Takufre of the High Court of Cross River State. The erring judges were also issued warning letters. In another development, the National Judicial Council has also approved the appointment of 63 judges for 16 states, 9 of which are heads of courts. With that report, we draw the curtain tonight. But before we go, a recap of the top stories. Governor Ayade has received a new Consul General of Equatorial Guinea, suing for better working relationship between the two nations. The member representing Akamkpa Biase Federal House of Representatives, Daniel Asukwo, declared intention for Cross River State governorship race. Correspondent on special assignment has examined the risk factors associated with indiscriminate waste disposal. You also heard in the news that the federal government has begun processes to domesticate outcome of global climate conference to ensure net zero carbon emissions by 2060. That is the news. Stay safe. Thanks for watching. Good night.